I recently made a video showing you how to create your own spawns for the 7 Days to Die Twitch integration. If you watched it, you might already be scheming up some fun spawns to surprise your chat with. However, if your chat is like mine, they often get so wrapped up in trying to spawn things on you that they forget to give you necessary things, such as ammo. This can make the streamer or friends in your party a little salty if they are getting large hordes spawned on them constantly, but no ammo to fight them with. One way to solve this is to have crates, such as ammo crates or funny crates filled with items themed on your spawn even, to drop on the death of the spawns that you create. This has helped my streams feel less like I was always begging my chat for ammo, but can also make spawns feel more complete, such as my teddy spawn that spawns a small bear but drops honey on death. I thought other people might be interested in how I did it, so you can add in your own crates to your own created spawns. So here we go. If you are new to editing XML, you will want to have Notepad++ or a similar program downloaded to your computer and ready to go before you begin this tutorial. A link to a video showing you how to do this is on the tab above and in the description below. So to do this, you will need to open up your game events file where you created your spawn. Your Twitch or Twitch events files will stay the same, so you don't need to open those up. If you need to learn how to create your own spawn, check out my video on that first, and come back to this part after you have done that. If you want to use an already existing crate, such as a crate that the Twitch integration already spawns in, this is the only file you are going to need, is your game events file. However, if you want to create your own loot crate to hold something specific, you will also need to open up the loot XML and the entity classes XML files as well. So if you are looking for the fastest way to add a loot crate to a drop when a spawn or spawn group dies, you will want to choose a loot crate that already exists in Twitch. In the game events file, if you scroll down, you will see the crate names for the different spawns for weapons, ammo, armor, whatever spawns normally. For example, I use the tier 3 supply ammo, which is called Twitch Action _ supply ammo 3. Copy that crate name for future use and paste it someplace that you won't lose it. Under each entity in your group, you will want to add a property called Add to Group and give it a unique value name, probably associated with your spawn. This adds the entity to a group that it will later recognize when the entire group has died. You want to do this whether it's only one thing that is going to be in the group or whether or not it's a whole bunch of things. And you want to do this for each different entity in your spawn. So for example, in my raining spawn, I have 2 entities that spawn, 3 mountain lions and 3 zombie dogs. In this spawn, I would put the add to group property under each one of these, as you can see in my example. Then you will want to add in the wait for dead action at the bottom of your spawn, but before the ending action sequence code. Feel free to pause and copy the code on my screen. Right after your wait for dead code, add in the spawn container action code seen here on my screen. Now here's where you need the code for that crate that you found earlier and pasted somewhere safe. Find that code and paste it in the entity names value section. As you can see, I have the Twitch Action _ supply ammo 3 chosen as my supply crate drop. Finally, you want the crate to play a sound when it drops so you know it is there. Feel free to copy the code on my screen to be just below your spawn container code. I will now show you a full screenshot of what the code looks like for the entire spawn for the game events file. Again, your Twitch or Twitch events files do not need to be changed at all for this to work, as long as you have the spawn set up normally like I showed you in a previous video. Now this sort of code works wonderfully for adding ammo or other supply crates that exist within the Twitch commands already. But what if you wanted to create your own loot crate to drop? Let's get into that now. To add your own loot to the spawn, first follow the steps from the first part for the game events file. All of that you will still need to do, except the name of your crate will change. Then go to the loot XML file. If you only want to spawn in one specific thing in a crate, scroll to the bottom of the loot file to make your own loot container and skip this next step. However, if you would like to spawn in multiple things, you will need to create your own loot group. Press Ctrl F to open up the search bar and find loot group. This will give you an example to use and put your loot group under this section. I recommend putting it under the Twitch loot groups just to find it easier again, but you can put it anywhere in the section that you like. Name your loot group a unique name. I have called mine Kaluna _ loot 1 for easier finding later. Next to that, you will want it to say count equals quotes all if you wanted to pick all of these items, or a number if you wanted to pick randomly a certain number of these items. Keep in mind, if you put a number, say 3, and you have 6 items, it could pick the first item 3 times. It just picks 3 of them, and it can multiply. Under that section, you will have the item name and choose the item that you want, followed by the count number of how many you want, or the range that you want. For a range, the first number is the smallest you can get, then a comma, then the largest amount you can get. You can also have a loot probability template if you want to. You can go to the top of the loot XML file for a list of these if you want to do that. Or you can delete this if you want it to be guaranteed to occur. Once you have all of the items listed that you want, then end your loot group with this code that's on my screen now. Now you're ready to create your loot container at the bottom of the loot file. Okay, so I have on my screen showing you 2 different examples of how you might do this loot container. And one is using the loot group that you created if you created multiple things. And one is creating with just one item, which would be the item name. So you want to copy these exactly depending on which one of those scenarios fits your situation. If you are choosing to only spawn in one item, and so this is the item name, you put the name right where the item name is, and you change the name, and then you will also need to have a space in the word count. Again, the first number is the amount that it could be, the smallest number, and then comma, and the biggest number that you might get. And then you can have a probability. So the probability would be 1 if you wanted to always spawn, 0.75 for high probability. You can see the probabilities at the very top of this page to put a probability if you would like to do that for this item. If you created an item group earlier, you do not need to have a count, or you do not need to have a probability here since you've already put that in your item group information. I don't recommend changing the other pieces of the loot container, the count of how many containers, the size of the container, destroy and close, sound opening and closing, but you can do those things if you know how to do that. I recommend leaving it exactly the way it is if you want it to be a normal container sound, to close normally, all of those things. So leave that stuff alone unless you kind of know what you're doing or you would like to play with some of those options. Now save your file, and it's time to move on to the entity class files. Once there, press Ctrl F to open the search menu and type Twitch Action. This will bring you to the Twitch Action supply crates code. Copy the top one and we will edit the necessary pieces. Change the entity class name to a unique name. I've called mine Twitch Action _ Kaluna Honey, but it can be anything not already used by the game. For the property mesh, this is what the box image that the crate will look like. For mine, I wanted a Shamway box since that made the most sense with honey. So I scrolled down until I found a Twitch crate that had the example in the mesh. If you wanted to make an ammo crate, you might want to use a shotgun prefab crate mesh, or for a tool, you might want a working stiff crate mesh. Copy that entire code for the mesh from an example that has the one that you want and paste it into your newly created coding as the mesh value. Then in the next to last property line under value, you will put the loot crate name you had created. Mine was called Kaluna _ Honey, so I put that. Copy from the loot XML if needed be to be sure. Save this file. Copy the entity class name you have given this coding, and we will now go back to the game events file. Here we will post it in the spawn container entity name value section. Save your files and you're ready to test. Go into the game to test your work. I highly recommend being in God mode when testing so you can see the spawns easily without worrying about dying. Turn on your Twitch integration, set cooldown to 0, then type your new commands in chat to test them. For example, my hashtag spawn _ raining, as you can see, spawns my mountain lions and dogs, and after I finish dealing with them, or you can totally type in kill all in the DM menu, drops an ammo crate. Now to test my hashtag spawn _ petty, spawn with my own created crate, as you can see it spawns a small bear, and after we finish dealing with him, drops a crate of honey. If everything is working properly, you are good to go. If you are working on a server, make sure to transfer your game events, loot, and entity class files to the server files as well as your Twitch file as per usual for created spawns. Now for potential bugs. Sometimes there are errors in multiplayer where the boxes do not drop. I had this issue on my server, but many people do not have this problem, and it was not able to be recreated by other people. So maybe this won't occur for you guys, but just in case, I am going to include a solution that worked for me. It might have been because my server was set up during experimental, so this might be a temporary issue, or it may come up for other people. So I wanted to include the workaround fix that I found to make the boxes spawn in multiplayer, just in case other people experience the same error. For each spawn with a crate in the game events file, at the top of your spawn, just below your action sequence name, you will want to add an action called Add Player to Group. Feel free to pause and copy the code from my screen. If this does not solve it for you, potentially try Add Party to Group instead. This problem was only occurring for me in multiplayer. The crates would spawn normally on the ground if I was alone, but then as soon as other people were in my party, it wouldn't work. So if this has occurred for you guys, maybe try this code. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what kinds of spawns you end up creating and loot crates for your spawns and other types of instructional videos that you might like to see more of in the comments below. Like and subscribe for more videos like this one, and check out some more of my videos like this one on how to turn on event spawns for raids, subs, gifted subs, or channel points.